So we're here at the range with a golf cart absolutely loaded full of guns, some hot coffee, and most importantly, a cozy chair. Because we got a little story time to tell, because I don't know if you knew this, but I was literally born and raised on a gun range. So for good or bad, lead runs deep through these veins, and today we're gonna talk about it. So the first gun, I assumed, because listen, I was competing by 8, so I don't actually remember shooting a gun for the very first time, so I had to verify with my family. And I assumed that it had been a 22 Cricket, that little tiny like single shotgun. And I asked them if that had been it, and they both kind of were like taken back by the fact that I assumed they would give me a gun with such a terrible trigger on it. They were like, we would never do such a thing. That's a horrible trigger. So it turns out my very first gun was a Clark Custom 1022, which has a lot more meaning than a Cricket, because Clark Custom is a custom shop that my grandfather started. My grandfather started his custom shop way back in the day. My mom worked there growing up, my uncle, many of my cousins, and then when I was a little girl, I was in the playpen at my grandpa's custom gun shop, and 1022s were one of the things that he was absolutely renowned for. So today, we've got a Clark Custom 1022. Smooth, beautiful, and as my parents attested with this gun, I know that we'll be getting that beautiful trigger pull that they talked about. Oof, this gun brings back memories, but this was just the beginning. So now, Lena, you shot your first gun. It was this one. So let's move on to something a little bit more interesting, something I have some true recollections of. So back to the golf cart we go. All right, so 1022 is back up, but now we're gonna jump ahead to little Lena when she was about 8 years old. And at that point in time, she became real cool because she got to go pick out her very own custom stock from, once again, Clark Custom Guns, right down the street from where I was born and raised. And I got to start competing with not only a 22 rifle, but also, are you ready? 22 pistol. I was styling and profiling with my brushed out curly hair, blue guns, wood necklace. It was really a whole mood. But I started competing at 8 at a competition called the Sportsman's Team Challenge, and it was supposed to be a team match, but I was 8, and you know, there were like no other 8-year-olds around, so I shot with my sister. And one of the first, actually my very first competitive shooting memory was there, because at the awards ceremony, my sister and I had competed on a 2-man team, and you know, like, I was atrocious. I was 8, but they awarded me with a medal that I remember going and getting that felt like it was the size of my head. And it had an eagle flying through some mountains on it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love bright and shiny things. I want more. And from that, they made a category called sub-junior, and I came back the next year with a team of sub-junior little girls. And for many years at the Sportsman's Team Challenge, I competed with this 22 pistol and this 22 rifle. I won my first national championships there. I got to compete with not only my sister, I got to compete alongside my sister and my mom later on, and got to become the first all-women's team to win the AA category, which was quite an achievement for us. It was a fun time, and these guns right here, we'll have to insert a photo. Insert photo now of me shooting these guns. Super fun. Ooh, still smooth. Reminds me of my team. Our name was the J-Frames because at that point in time, we were lucky enough to have a little bit of support from Smith & Wesson for my sub-junior team. Very fun. All right. I'm pretty sure the next gun that we're going to, we might finally be getting out of the 22 category. So blue guns up and on to a new era of Lena's life. Let's see. He shot here and I shot this one. Oh, I remember. Okay, this was, so I was but a wee child when I started shooting 22, and that Sportsman's Team Challenge match was actually a 3-gun match. It was supposed to be a 22 pistol, 22 rifle, and shotgun, but being sub-junior, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, I was too small for a shotgun at the time. And I really appreciated that my parents never pushed me early on to shoot calibers that I wasn't comfortable with or pushed me to have a bad experience. It was all about what I wanted to pursue. So we left shotgun away for a while, but as soon as I turned 12, I got a 20 gauge shotgun. And out here in the field, we had a gentleman named Ken Sedlecki, who was an Olympian and a trainer, come out and teach me. He was one of the sweetest humans, and he taught me how to shoot shotgun. And I remember Ken telling me, shoot the beak off that bird, or lead it by a school bus, lead it by a Volkswagen. Some wild logic, but it connected with 12-year-old me, and I became a rather ferocious little shotgun shooter. And this little youth nylon stock gun, brings me right back to those days. Ooh, all right, moving on up. Oh, guys, guns are so cool. I love that I have a history through them and that I'll be able to have these for generations to continue to tell my story and my family's through. How fun. All right, let's see. So what did little Lena do? Let me look at my list. Shot a lot of guns in my life, guys. Ooh, it is time. It's time for me to finally graduate to handgun. So, fun fact, I didn't really like competing. I know, egad. Both my parents did it for a living, so it was their job. It's how they provided for us. So when they went to the range, it wasn't for fun or for a hobby. It was to go to become the best in the world so that they could win titles and, you know, keep our lights on and give me food. So I didn't really like it, but I did try a lot of things. So this is that kind of 12 to 16-year-old era of me where I got into trying to find a passion for handgun competing. I started off with an M&P. I shot my first USPSA match with it, and I was like, nah, not about it. And then I got my mom's open gun, and I shot a couple competitions with it, and I was like, yeah. And then when I was, let's see, right around 14, 15 was the very first time I ever shot a 45 cal revolver. I know, kind of a shocker. You probably thought I was born with 2 revolvers in my hands, but actually I didn't shoot them for a long time. And my dad didn't give me this gun. He let me use this gun. I've now confiscated it from him and claimed it, but he let me use this gun. I shot my first revolver match with it. Ooh, those were good memories. And then I went to my very first ever national level championship with this revolver right here. Now, was I any good? No, I had so many misses. I remember on one stage, bless his heart, he does a lot to encourage me, but he's also, my family is brutally honest. Sometimes you might consider it to a fault, but I like brutal honesty. And my very first ever revolver championship, I shot this stage and it was so hard. It was like headshots at 20 yards and partials and no shoots and all this stuff. And I get off that stage and I had many misses and penalties. And I remember I was like, oh, my dad walks up and goes, why'd you do that? You can't recover from that. And I was like, I know. And my mom was like, Jerry, go away. But it's just funny because it was so nonchalant. And it's true, I couldn't recover from that, but that's all right. I got better as I went. And hopefully I can find you the video of me shooting in a neon green shirt and toe shoes at a revolver match, getting to shoot this exact 45 right here. that feels like memories. One of my favorite things about this revolver is that it has a trigger job done by my dad, and it has some one-of-a-kind redwood prototype grips that I stole from their back room when I was just a young kid. I had my era with 45 revolvers, competed at area matches, and won national championship, and then I put it on the shelf because it was time for a much, much more serious and epic era in my story. Right, let me confirm that we're going to the gun. I think we are. Oh yeah, okay, guys. So, these kind of came all at the same time to me. So right before, it was either my 16th or my 17th birthday, my mom invited me to my very first multi-gun competition. I shot that M&P Pro long slide, Babes with Bullets edition. My mom gave me one of those for my birthday, and then she loaned me an AR, Barnes Precision upper. I remember this gun so well, and a Mossberg 930. And she invited me to my very first multi-gun match, and I did a little bit of training, a little bit of dry firing and stuff, and I showed up to that match, and on that first stage, I will never forget it because it was truly a life-changing event. I was on that first stage, we were in Arizona, and our first 7 targets were long-range ones up on the mountainside, and I had to crawl into this little covered area, and I was shooting out at those long-range targets. There were 7 of them. I shot all 30 rounds at these 7 pieces of steel, and my gun went click, and I was like, oh, I have 2 more guns I have to get to and shoot, and there's a timeout in multi-gun, so I just like put my rifle down and was like, I gotta go. I remember it was a hill, and I ran down this hill, and I picked up my shotgun, and I was like, okay. And I had so much adrenaline, my arms were noodles, and I remember thinking, oh my gosh, this is the heaviest gun I've ever tried to shoot. And I went to war with a slug target, and I couldn't hit it, and I was digging rounds out of my pockets and loading them and trying to shoot it, and eventually I was like, I'm gonna time out, I have to go to handgun. And I finally put it down, get my handgun, and oh gosh, I still see it. I remember shooting, and I was so like, super adrenaline to me makes me extremely weak. Doesn't give me like automobile flipping powers. It makes me like an overcooked noodle. And I was out there shooting that handgun thinking that the handgun was gonna hit me in the face because I couldn't hold on to it well enough. And eventually I finally just stopped shooting. And it was such a dumpster fire, such chaos, that I was absolutely hooked. I was like, this is it. This is finally the sport that calls to me in a way that I can dedicate my life to it. So, in that moment, I went and committed myself to multi-gun shooting, and I shot in that first year. Went from competing not at all, very casually, just for fun, to 20 to 24 major matches a year, 200 days on the road with my family competing. It was an entire shift in our lives. So let's get some mags and some rounds. Let's load them up and let's do a little shooting because, whew, I got some good memories with these ones. I'm shooting PMC in this rifle, which is literally the lot of PMC from when I was competing in the beginning, because after I started my venture into multi-gun, I had to fund that. As like as a 16-year-old. I did a lot of bumming from my family, but they're not much for letting you bum. So I started trading and working along the side so that I could make money to buy ammo to try and pursue this new pro shooting thing I wanted to do. All right, eyes and ears, little soapbox rant. Whenever I shoot something comped or bigger caliber, I'm always gonna suggest to wear muffs and plugs, because we try not to be as deaf as my dad. All right, first AR I ever had Smith & Wesson, Barnes Precision upper. I remember back in the day, this handguard design was like revolutionary because everything back then had been like these giant tubes. Now I look at this gun and I'm like, it was a good starting place, but definitely not what I'm used to now. But, oh, that would be helpful. All right, I have a lot of memories with this AR, and prepare, because this comp is my dad's, and it's quite effective. Oh, the memories. I shot tens of thousands of rounds through this rifle, and with that training and that dedication, I was able to win the very first 3 Gun Nation ladies shoot-off that was hosted live at SHOT Show in front of a live audience. I made it into the 4th seat of that, the true underdog. No one, I had done nothing cool up until that point. No one thought I could do it. I might have not even thought I could do it, but I showed up and I gave them hell and I beat them all out, including my mom in that shoot-off. There's a video somewhere of me and my mom taking off against that shoot-off, and my dad's videoing and he doesn't know who to cheer for. He's like, go everybody. And then I get ahead and he's like, Lena, go Lena. Oh, it was funny. But this 930 here too, with it, I was able to claim my very first world title at 17 at the first ever IPSC Shotgun World Shoot. And that title, along with that 3 Gun Nation shoot-off, are the two that really made being a professional competitive shooter a possibility. And this 930 and 940 platform is what I have also defended that world title with since 2012. Whew, a lot of good memories. All right, we're only to 17 in the Lena timeline, so we got a few more to go. You ready to see what's next? Oh, nice. We got this one. Dun, 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 dun. So, in multi-gun, I rose to the top. I won my championships, and I did all that for many a years. And then come around 2020, 2019, there became this new cool division and sport, and it was called PCC, or Pistol Caliber Carbine. And at this time, I'm working with SIG, and SIG has the SIG Sauer MPX, which is a pistol caliber carbine, and I hit the PCC market hard. That circuit, I was shooting area matches, local matches, major ones, and for about 3 or 4 years, I was pretty undefeated in it, national champion, and PCC is just one of the most fun divisions, and it pushed me outside of my shooting comfort zone because of the type of sport. I had been exclusively rifle, pistol, and shotgun, multi-gunning for years and years, and those are like natural terrain matches. You're running around through the woods shooting. PCC is a super refined, high-speed execution, and it really challenged me as a marksman, and I enjoyed the pursuit of it greatly. So there's a lot of good memories on an MPX. I also set my very first certified NRA world record with this MPX, and a lot more. So let's shoot it right after I grab some 9mm. I keep on forgetting ammo, guys. There's too much to carry. One of my favorite PCC memories is just that my mom would come to nationals and support me. This was after she had kind of taken a step back from the competition circuit, so I didn't get to see her when I was going and competing. We were no longer side by side, so her coming and supporting me at nationals was pretty phenomenal to have, watching me blast around with my little 9mm just as fast as I could. Great memories there. And now we're getting real close to some of the most exciting ones, I think, that are on this cart. Ooh, guys, this one's special because it takes a little bit of a plot twist, okay? So while I load this mag and don't let you see it, let me talk about it. So we left off with the PCC. I'm competing, I'm full-time. That's 200 days a year on the road competing, the rest of the time training. I truly believe if you want to be a 1% in anything, you got to give 99% to get there. And I was doing that. And I was doing great. Lots of success, long career, happy times. Then we were all there. What happened in 2020? COVID. And COVID came for me at actually the perfect time because I was on a personal pursuit to learn to love being alone and on my own at that time. I know, ironic, because then the universe was like, oh, you want to be alone? Ha! You have to be alone now. But it was perfect because it allowed me to take a break, take a moment, really process what it was that I wanted to do with my life and what I wanted to achieve. And with COVID being there, it really helped me identify that faster, because there's one tradition that my family has outside of being baddies on the range and winning world titles. It's that my mom and I face a fear every year. We have this mentality that like fear is a liar and a thief of life. And if you let it, it'll take everything it can. And it's really horrible. So we do stuff like jump off buildings and skydiving and holding tarantulas. But during 2020, for me, it was facing this fear of being alone. So I was living alone. I started solo traveling across the country, and taking on the responsibility of my own personal protection is what allowed me to do all of that comfortably and confidently. And when I finally had this giant break from shooting, being on the road and pursuing gold medals over and over again, I looked around at the world and I saw one that was truly full of fear. And I thought, how unacceptable, how sad and tragic. And I knew that I had to do something. And I decided that I was gonna try and educate as many people as I possibly could. I didn't know how I was gonna do it, but I was just gonna tell everybody that I could about guns and gun safety and build them up to be a confident and competent gun owner and user. I thought I was gonna have to quit shooting professionally, and I was prepared to go to SIG, and I did go to SIG to have the conversation about me leaving them so that I could pursue this passion of educating, of attempting to repackage my years of dedication and skill and knowledge and gift it to others. And instead of them saying goodbye, thank the goodness above, they said, we're gonna do your dream together. And that's when the Rose 365s became real. That's when Rose by SIG Sauer, my brand in line with them, came to market. And our mission has been exactly that: build confident and competent not only gun owners, but more importantly, gun users. Because great firearms users out in the world make for a better world for everyone. And on the side of this particular pistol, this is one of the two that they had made for me at the launch. Number 2 on this side. Right here it says, let's change the industry. And that's been my pursuit, to make sure that women know that firearms are for them and that there's an easy process for them to feel educated, empowered, strong. And this gun right here has been the focus of many years for me now, and has been life-changing, has allowed me to meet and travel and see so many wonderful ladies pursuing something that they thought wasn't theirs. So the Rose 365 line, a life changer for me and truly a dream come true. She's a baby. I could talk about her for 45 minutes. And now we're gonna put it up and I'm gonna grab one of my last guns for you. This one, are you ready? This one's really fun. This is probably one of my funnest guns. Are you ready? What? This is the Legion Flux. Bum, bum, bum. This one is so amazing and has a spot on this list because of this platform. Last year in October, I got to compete with my mom and dad for the first time since 2018. My mom got a back injury a while back that took her out of the competition scene, and guns, handguns, rifles, shotguns, everything that she tried hurt her. And then when Ben from Flux and SIG came together on this and they launched it, I saw it there at the event, at the launch event, and that night I was like, Ben, I've got this idea. I was like, I want to shoot a match with my mom so badly again, and I think this gun is it. So last October, me and my mom and my dad went to nationals, and we got to compete, and watching my mom go out there on that first stage, run and gun, oh gosh, it had tears in my eyes. It was so beautiful. And I got to share the range with my family again, all because of this. Not only is it super cool and super fun, but it brought shooting to my family again. And now, this year, in just a few months, we're gonna all go to the Czech Republic together because guess what? We all qualified for the PCC World Shoot. So we're now gonna get to go and travel internationally again to the world stage and shoot pistol caliber carbines side by side. And I'm so thankful that there's platforms like this that make shooting accessible to truly everyone. And it is just an absolutely fun gun. All right, we've only got one more left. Are you ready? Okay. I couldn't have even talked to you about this 2 days ago. So it is brand spanking new off the press. So let me grab it. You can probably see this behind my back, so it's not really a surprise to you, but are you ready? Are you ready? So my mission with Rose, it's never stopped. I've been traveling around the entire US educating and supporting women. And do you know what just happened 2 days ago, 3 days ago? I got a Rose rifle. The world gets a Rose rifle. I love it. So one of the coolest byproducts of Rose that I never anticipated was this from consumer to manufacturer voice. And with Rose, we have an online community of over 20,000 women. And when SIG was ready to extend the line, instead of going, well, I know what they want, I went, why don't we just ask the ladies what they want? And with much surprise to me, because I mean, we've been working on concealed carry guns and handguns for this whole 2 years. You know what those ladies wanted? An AR. And I was thrilled because rifle shooting is how I began. I have 2 rifle world titles, and the last rifle world title I claimed with the prototype of this gun. So just 2 days ago, I was in New Hampshire at the SIG Sauer headquarters at the SEC launching this. I had 60 women there that came to the classes for the day, and they were just absolutely thrilled and so excited that rifles are now going to be part of the future. And I can't wait to support women to get out on the range and just be a bunch of baddies with ARs. So this is the brand new Rose M400. With it, online education, community events, and she shoots awfully smooth. So that's it, guys. That's we're finally to present day. We're to me here sitting in this chair in the rain. But my life has been trackable through firearms, yes, but the biggest successes that I've had haven't been because of the guns, but because of the memories that I made, and all of those tie back to the amazing people I get to share the range with. Along all of these firearms are also stories of great people supporting me to be where I am now. And I'm so thrilled that you sat through all this chatting and guns with me so that we could share it together. And I hope that your story and your journey has as many fond memories. And if it doesn't, guess what? You got the future to build them up with. And how awesome. And remember, there's a gun just about for everybody at every phase. And right there is my history through firearms.